it actually happened. The Minnesota Wild win streak continues after a crazy win against the Colorado Avalanche. We're going to be breaking it down, going over multiple updates that have come out from the Minnesota Wild as well, but touching on one man in specific as he continues to shine and shock the entire NHL. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this video. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button throughout this Minnesota Wild win streak. We're covering everything, and things are going crazy. We have so much to cover. Every single update that Jesper Wallstedt has had has come throughout this streak, and we're covering it all here on the channel. He's been a crazy part of this success, and with all videos coming out because of his success, the Wild success, we're having it right here on the channel. So be sure to hit that sub button if you haven't already. We need to get straight into this though, because we are seeing some crazy things. The Minnesota Wild come out here and beat the Colorado Avalanche in a game which was won for the ages, and I'm willing to say one of the best games this season. Not just for the Minnesota Wild or the Colorado Avalanche, over the NHL season. This game felt like a playoff game. The atmosphere was there. Everything was there. Kirill Kaprizov coming out here, setting some records that we're going to touch on here in a bit, but being the guy getting 2 goals here with the shootout winner from Matt Boldy, but the shootout save and the rest of the game by Jesper Wallstedt, a man that we've spoken about quite a bit here on the channel, and if you're not familiar with his name already, you may want to. He has done some crazy things throughout this Minnesota Wild win streak, and another crazy game for him, going and saving and winning a game for this Wild team, of course, with the help from his offense against 41 shots from the Colorado Avalanche, the most dangerous team in the NHL. Likely on the roster side of things, but also statistically. And this is a rare sight to see when you're looking at this for the Colorado Avalanche, not the Minnesota Wild. We're not used to seeing the Avalanche lose this season, which is unfortunate, but it's very good to see when it is the Minnesota Wild doing this. A little bit low on the face-off percentage here today, but the shots, the physicality, everything made up for it. When you have Jesper Wallstedt in the game, he is able to run you a win. And this come out from the Minnesota Wild PR. A few more things before we do fully dive into it. The Wild in a 11-1-1 with an .885 win percentage in November, leading to the NHL wins and 23 points, and they're the lead in the NHL for both of those. 11 total wins, ties the 11-12 season for most in November in franchise history. And ladies and gentlemen, if this don't describe this team, I don't know what does. We saw some crazy things happen. Of course, let's not forget, we got to go back a little bit here, so stick with me. The beginning of the season, we were awful. I'm willing to say it, this team's not great at the start of the season. A lot of stuff to iron out, a lot of stuff that wasn't going our way. But right now, this team beating the Colorado Avalanche, and I will continue to say it, beating the Colorado Avalanche is genuinely insane. I hope you guys are sharing the hype with me, because it's always good to see us beat the Avalanche. Of course, as history knows, it's not something that we like to touch on very much, but when we win, it is one that I love to think about. But this man, the Wall of St. Paul, cannot be stopped. 7-0-2 the last 5 games. Bear with me. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, okay, get out the calculator. Don't know what you're going to be calculating, but something here is special. 36 save shutout in November 9th. November 15th, a 28 save shutout. November 19th against Carolina, 45 saves on 48 shots. Winnipeg, 32 save shutout. And the 29th today, Colorado, 39 saves on 41 shots against the most dangerous team in the NHL. There's a new one, the Minnesota Wild, but 180 shots saved on 185 shots. He is something special. He is doing something magical. There's some power above that is going and giving everything to this team on the back of Jesper Wallstedt. But ladies and gentlemen, I feel like going throughout this game, and with Kirill Kaprizov coming out here, putting up his very good point total over his first couple seasons with the 5th round pick. And we're going to jump into that little stat in a minute, because it might sound a bit crazy here, but you're looking at the NHL standings right now. When we look at Colorado, first place, 17. They have one regulation loss. One regulation loss here with 6 overtimes. One of those, of course, today against the Minnesota Wild. They get a point out of it, but this just increases the Minnesota Wild up in the rankings across the NHL on the standings. They're 4th place and could very easily move into second. And eventually, once the Colorado Avalanche hopefully fall back to earth, we'll be in a very interesting spot when it comes down to the beginning and the lead in the NHL standings. But the Wild have done some special things. And I feel like this is something that, once again, we have really jumped on the past little while. Everything that the Wild have done, the games that they've played, every single thing they've done in the games has been that perfect, getting them to this spot. And I feel like it really all starts with this man, Kirill Kaprizov, while also mentioning, of course, the others. I really don't think there's one lead. It's everybody playing as good as they can together. And in 24 games, 14 goals, 14 assists for 28 points, 22 minutes time on ice on average this season. Kirill Kaprizov has been fantastic. I feel like his defensive numbers have been underrated. Same goes for Daniil Yurov, who is still exceeding all expectations, but still a little bit under the covers because of what Jesper Wallstedt and this Wild team is doing. But they found it. They found what the key is to success, and they are running wild with it. But like I said, Kirill Kaprizov in 344 games became the fourth fastest player drafted in the 5th round or later to score 200 career goals, following Brett Hull, Luc Robitaille, and Pavel Bure. And I feel like it's a pretty good list to join. And I mean, of course, 5th round picks, how many are there actually that really find out to be successful? The Wild found one of these guys, of course, but some very good names to have your name in a mix with. And especially when you're looking at some of these guys who have, history on history on history with them. That is already at Kirill Kaprizov's level, and he is continuing to do that every single game, getting his 200th and 201st goals here today. Awesome to see out of him. Very deserving, of course, as well. And that's not being undershadowed by anything, because that is exactly where the success has come from. Not just him, but the Wild over the past couple of years as well. But over this win streak and the last handful of games, a lot of that has come from Jesper Wallstedt. I know I was kind of going a bit nuts earlier, and I do apologize, but going into it now, I want to ask you guys a question. I feel like this is something that we need to touch on. Not a major issue right now, because it's not an issue. I feel like that was the wrong set of words to use there, but it is not an issue. It is something of what the plan is going forward. Looking at this right now, let me know what you think. Do you consider Jesper Wallstedt as the number one in Minnesota? Would you consider him the starter over Filip Gustavsson? I mean, we look at this, we look at how Jesper Wallstedt has done. I wish he could throw in a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Unfortunately, he's not able to. But right now, and I'm not dissing Filip Gustavsson at all whatsoever, because he's gotten us to this point. He's made everything work. He has been still an integral part of this team. Jesper Wallstedt's stats have been significantly better, especially over the last couple of games. Filip Gustavsson started off a bit slow, but he's back. I mean, this team would not be where they are if it wasn't for Filip Gustavsson and Jesper Wallstedt. Both need to be going, and both are. But in a do-or-die game, I know this is not something right now that we need to discuss, not really anything that we needed to deal with just yet. Do you hand the game? Do you give the game to Jesper Wallstedt or Filip Gustavsson? I'm stuck on it right now. I feel like I'm going a little bit more still towards Filip Gustavsson, even though Jesper Wallstedt's been incredible. I feel like it's very hard for me to say to not give it to him. But Gus has the experience. Gus has done it there. I feel like these two together and a tandem, they're not something they're going to worry about. They're playing to win for each other, and they've spoken about that. We had a video a couple days ago about Filip Gustavsson, his quote with everything, and this is exactly where we want to be as Wild fans for the Wild goaltending. Everything, once again, is going great, but I'm just curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on that. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But that is all I have here in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to cover as well. You won't want to miss it. It is 100% free to hit the button. So that's all I got here. If you did enjoy, give it a like. Like I said, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.